Hey everybody, welcome to a video I am making for Miss Minor's 2012-2013 geography class. Today we're going to be talking about Australia. We're going to look at some of the physical features as well as some of the man-made places and locations. And we're going to see some pretty amazing animals, so I think you guys are going to enjoy this video. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, well let's go ahead and get started. This is Australia, as you can see on the screen wherever I decide to edit it in. It has a population of about 20.6 million people, and it's the only country in the world that takes up an entire continent. And the inner part of the island is desert, so most people live on the coast. The capital is Canberra, but the perhaps most known city is Sydney, and that is because of the Sydney Opera House, which you can see here. It's pretty amazingly designed, I have to say. And Australia is a pretty amazing country, but not just because of its locations. Now we're going to go take a look at some amazing animals. Since we're talking about the animals of Australia, it's worth noting why they are so rare and can only be found in that location. This is because scientists believe that millions of years ago there was a supercontinent called Pangaea, and this split into the continents that we have today. And when this split, Australia was obviously separated into an island by itself, and this is why the animals are only found in that location, and that's why they're so rare. So, that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started with perhaps one of the most well-known animals of Australia. And for that, we're going to go up into the trees. And if you haven't guessed it by now, we're talking about the koala. The koala is a marsupial. Some believe it's a bear. That's why it's called the koala bear in some parts of the world, most commonly here in the U.S. It feeds on the eucalyptus leaves of the eucalyptus tree, which is another extremely rare species found only in Australia, and they carry their young in a pouch. Their young are born live. And we're going to have some pictures of the koala go here for a while, and then we're going to move on. Now we're going to head on down to ground level and talk about the kangaroo. And the kangaroo is sort of an unofficial symbol of Australia because it's found on Australia's coat of arms and on some of the currency. So, kangaroos are marsupials, much like the koalas that we talked about earlier. And they carry their live in a pouch because that's basically how to define a marsupial. And the young of a kangaroo is called a joey. And the kangaroos have very powerful hind legs for hopping around, and that's their means of travel, basically. So, continuing our journey, up next we have dingoes, and these are wild dogs that live in Australia. They can be found anywhere from the desert to heavily wooded forests. They scarcely live far away from water, and they're classified as vulnerable, so they're not in threat of going extinct yet, but they could potentially be. And they live anywhere from hollowed out logs to deserted rabbit holes to dens, anywhere like that. And there are many ceremonies and that sort of thing tied up to dingoes that were created by the Aborigines, and there are many cave paintings depicting pictures of dingoes, so they are very common around Australia. And so up next we're just going to look at some plants and trees and the sort that can be seen only in Australia. we're gonna go down under the sea and take a look at the sea dragon. And as you can see here, these are pretty beautiful creatures, honestly. They're extremely rare, and they're a lot like a seahorse. They're about the same size, and they feed on plankton mostly, like little one-cell organisms. And the things that look like leaves that are coming off of them are just skin, basically, and it's used for camouflage mostly. And sea dragons are used in medicine, and so they are somewhat threatened by man, and they're extremely rare as it is, so they are pretty awesome. Alright, so that is all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank you guys for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Goodbye. Alright, so, as I'm sure you guys know, there is a ton of more stuff that I could have said about Australia, but unfortunately I can't make a video long enough to cover it all. So I hope you enjoy what you did get to see, and yeah, I guess that's gonna do it for my outro. Now we're gonna go ahead and go on to the credits. Thanks for watching.